Welcome to 805 Sports Talk. I'm Joe Bailey. Alongside me is Jacob Rayburn and Elliot Stern. This is the 14th episode of 805 Sports Talk. Thank you guys for tuning in. And you may have noticed we are one member short. Kenny Kress, who has provided us with a lot of great video here at the show, can't make it today. He's covering the District 65 Little League tournament, so he's providing us with great coverage of that. I know you guys love to check out our daily coverage from that tournament, so make sure to check that out. But we've got a great show for you guys planned today. A little bit different show. We're going to be talking baseball, softball, and even some NASCAR this week. As Elliot, you ventured out to the Sonoma Raceway to catch a NASCAR race. So thanks for tuning in. And our first story for the week is All Area Softball. You may have noticed our weekend publication of our All Area Softball team, and Lompoc High School Braves were prominently displayed there. Olivia Gutierrez is our All Area MVP. And McKenna Martin, the Braves coach, is our All-Area Coach of the Year. Last week I caught up with them to kind of see how they felt about winning the championship. They won the Division V CIF Southern Section Championship last month, so that was a great achievement, the school's first CIF title. And you know that we put a lot of weight onto postseason success, and that was a big reason why Olivia was our All-Area MVP and McKenna is our Coach of the Year.
You know, a lot of people would think you guys were the underdogs, playing against private schools, and St. Bonaventure, had a lot of success in the playoffs. Did you ever look at you guys as underdogs, or were you guys confident that you could beat all these teams?
I think we were pretty confident. We had a lot of trust into each other. I know on the final championship game, when there was bases loaded with one out, I know I had so much trust in my team that we were going to get out. We were just leaning on each other.
In the championship game, that was a tight game. Riley had a big game offensively. Cheyenne, I think, got you guys out front to start. Kind of describe the championship game. It was a 3-0 game. What was that like? Were you nervous at all pitching in that game? And what was it like seeing you get some run support from Riley and Cheyenne?
It definitely built up my confidence and just more in my team. I already had that, but it just made it that much more stronger. We just took it pitch by pitch, out by out, inning by inning, and we did us.
Looking back on your guys' championship run, how do you look back on that? Has it sunk in? You helped this team to the school's first championship. Looking back on that, how do you feel about it?
Oh, it's amazing to bring a championship to this community, to this program. Played for the local Braves a while back, 10 years ago to be exact. Thought this was kind of out of reach for me as a new coach for a while. We thought it was going to take a little bit to change culture, change the way these girls think, that they are winners, that they're not the underdog, that they are a top dog in this community. And I think it's very powerful to see them work together as a team and come together so quickly within the 2 years that I've been here. I've seen dramatic change from last year's squad to this year's squad, and very proud of them. They're an absolute elite squad that will definitely be missed for next year.
If you had to put your finger on a couple things, what do you think it was that got this team to where they are, to win a championship, win a league championship? What do you think? Was there something you did? Was there something you told the girls? Was it just belief in themselves? If you had to put your finger on a couple things, what do you think it was?
When we started off the season, we put our best nine out. I have a great staff behind me. Our coaching staff is unbelievable, has many years of knowledge. Some of these coaches, Jimenez, Coach Griffey, who's my father, and definitely Coach Branson, who actually coached me as a young one, have a lot of knowledge. And for us to put together our starting nine.
You're talking about so many big games, big moments, but what do you think your most proudest moment is with this team? Something you did with the lineup, or shuffling something around, or just seeing your team respond?
I don't really want to say this on record, but I will kind of give an idea of what typically happened. Those two losses against Napomo, and then again the next week against Rio, really sunk into me as a coach. What the heck? We are so close taking league, doing our little goals one at a time. Let's win league. Okay, we won league. Now we're tied with Templeton. Let's take it solo. Let's be a little greedy. I think these girls deserve it. The solo championship. Them losing to Napomo, that hurt. Them losing to Rio, that hurt me as a coach. What I did to them at Cabrera's field, and I said, I'm not sure. I told them, I'm not sure if you guys have what it reverse psychology with them. I kind of wanted them to, have a common enemy, and if that's their coach at that particular moment, that's fine. And I basically told them that, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, you seniors, you 6 seniors that have been through this program, you 4 that have been with this program for all 4 years, 4-year lettermans. You guys prove me wrong that your coach is sitting here and you guys aren't scared. And you guys will play the best that you can because you are better than this team. You are better than our rival. And I've believed that since last year when I started coaching. You just got to get past that hump. You got to get past that culture shock, that culture change that Cabrillo has been beating you guys the last 4 years of your entire high school. And
so it was really great to catch up with Olivia and McKenna. I think the Braves winning a CIF championship will probably be one of our top stories of the year. That was really cool to see. I thought they were underdogs, but they really had a lot of confidence in themselves, and they really played as a team. Talking to Olivia and McKenna last week, that was really a big theme with them, was just confidence and playing together, and I think that really showed in their play. Congratulations to them on their championship and their all-area honors. Elliot, I know you had a fun weekend at Sonoma, so get us caught up with the NASCAR race.
Okay, thank you, Joe. NASCAR made its second visit of the year to the state of California over this past weekend. The Sprint Cup Series was in Fontana in February, but this time they were in Northern California for the 28th annual Toyota Save Mart 350. That was Sunday afternoon at Sonoma Raceway. 40 cars were off and running in the 200-mile race over Sonoma's 2-mile, 11-turn road course. Carl Edwards won the pole on Saturday, but it was Tony Stewart who smoked the competition with 2 daring moves late in Sunday's race.
A little different scenario than the rest of these guys. I mean, this was my last chance, and I still don't like it. The thing I was doing was when I came off the corner, I went to that line right away, and I made my intentions known that I was going to the inside on the entry of the corner. I gave him the outside. The ones you don't like is when you make a move and then a guy makes a move and tries to run you down even further. So, I don't know. I'm confused myself on when it started being acceptable, and I started seeing it on, listening to watching sports car races on TV, and they're talking about defending their position. And I always thought defending your position was getting off the corner fast enough to not give the guy an opportunity to do something. But, I'm not a big fan of it. But I got 2 road course races left in my career, and if I got to play ball like they play ball to do it, I'm going to do it. So, this, especially, last 5 laps, I mean, this may be our only opportunity to get in the chase, to get a win this year. So, I believe in etiquette, and I believe in racing guys the way that I want to be raced, and that's not the way I like to race those guys. But they, Denny knew what was at stake for us and what the opportunity for us was, and most of those guys did. I thought it was a great race. I mean, like I said, we didn't see guys shoving each other off the racetrack. It was a good race.
Yeah, I knew I needed a big gap. I didn't know if he would, physically spin us out. I thought that there was a very good chance of it, because that's his opportunity to get in the chase ultimately. I mean, how many more chances is he going to have? I think that this is by far the best he's run all year, and he's in his final season, so his give a shit factor is probably very low.
At the end of the day, we only won because of his desire and his drive and his want. I truly believe that with these competitors and how good all the cars are and these top tier drivers, that's what it is. It's a matter of who wants it more at the end of the day in most cases. So today, Tony wanted it more.
So Stewart's crew chief, Mike Bogarowitz, took a chance with about 25 laps remaining and called his driver into the pits for fuel and fresh tires. As at the time, Stewart was stuck in the middle of the pack. He was running about 17th. He had really no chance of winning. So the move by Bogarowitz was pretty bold, because there had only been 3 cautions in the whole race up until that time. 1 car caught fire. There was debris on the track twice, so there had been no accidents. But as luck would have it, just a couple laps after Stewart got back in the race, a car just broke down on the track, and it created the caution that he needed. With 19 laps to go, everybody else pitted, and Stewart got to stay on the track. So that gamble paid off. and that allowed Stewart to move into first place. Danny Hamlin came out of the pits right behind him, and they raced in that order, first and second, right down to the final 3 laps. Hamlin had noticed that on turn 7, remember this is a road course, they make lefts as well as rights, and he noticed on turn 7 that Stewart was wheel hopping. He was hitting the berm, the little curb, and it actually slows you down a bit, so he waited and waited, and on the very last lap of the 110 lap race, Hamlin saw him hit that little berm, and while he delayed to get his footing right, Stewart, Hamlin went by him and took the lead. But then 4 turns later, on the 11th and final lap of the race, Stewart came right back. He got inside of Hamlin. Hamlin admitted that he got a little bit loose there, and Stewart nudged him. Hamlin kissed the wall, and Stewart was off to his 3rd career win on the Sonoma Racecourse, his 49th overall, and actually gets him within 9 points of the chase for the championship. As long as he does well in the remaining races, finishes in the top 25 or so, he will make the chase, and it's his final season, so everybody's kind of rooting for him to go out on top. One final chase in his final year of racing. So that's the pros, and they were here in California, and we always like to be able to take the chance to go see them on the rare occasions that they're here, but most of the action this past weekend occurred right here in Santa Maria, and Jacob Rayburn was on top of a lot of that.
Thanks, Elliot. I've gotten the chance to see kind of the future of local high school baseball teams with covering Babe Ruth in the area. Kenny has done a lot of the coverage of the Little League of the District 65. I've been covering District 6 Babe Ruth. Orcutt won the 13s in Atascadero, where it was 105 degrees when they were playing, which should prepare them perfectly for when they have to go to Madera for the Central California State Championship, where it'll be about 100 degrees where they play there. And we have the Lompoc 15s won their district championship as well. They're heading to Reedley for the Central California State Championship. And the 14s haven't been decided yet, and it's going to be interesting. We could have some really good chance of some local teams winning state championships. Of course, there are 3 state championship tournaments in California, North, South, and Central. And from there you go on the regionals. I got a chance last year to cover regionals and when it was held in Fresno, and got to see a Hawaii team with kids who looked like they were already seniors in high school bashing the ball over the fence. So it definitely, there's a big jump in competition coming up for these guys, and I'm sure their high school coaches appreciate the extra practice and training that they're getting. And we have some national baseball stories that we can talk about, and one of them actually would be kind of connected to what Babe Ruth used to do back in the day. He was an amazing pitcher and a hitter, and there's a debate right now as to whether or not pitchers should be in the home run derby or their own separate home run derby, something that I'm pretty sure Babe Ruth would have been for back in the day. And so what do you guys think? Should Madison Bumgarner and Jake Arrieta and all those guys get to swing the bat?
Sure, why not? If they want to. It might make sense to have their own pitchers division, but it would be interesting to see how they go up against these guys that already have 20 home runs on the season. But I think it'll just add to the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt we'll ever see it because just the injury risk, and I think it would be a lot of fun. And I think a guy like Madison Bumgarner, who's so big and kind of, you know, doesn't have to put a lot of effort into a swing, would be a lot of fun to see out there. Hopefully it'll happen one day.
Well, who would be on the list for you guys? I mean, just a couple days ago, Jake Arrieta hit a home run. Madison Bumgarner's got power. Zach Greinke's a good hitter. Right. And people are saying Noah Syndergaard should be out there just because he's built like a Marvel's comics character. And
yeah, but he's got a little elbow issue right now, but maybe next year.
You could have some pretty good fun on the home run derby where the pitchers are getting the ball thrown to them by their fellow position player all-stars, just yucking it up.
See if somebody wants to hit him in the back.
Yes, see if someone wants to hit him.
But they lob it in there. I mean,
Bryce Harper was a pretty good pitcher and catcher during his day, so he could probably throw a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, and so it'd be funny if they kind of mix it up a little bit. I think the home run derby could use a little
tinkering. It seems like they're always messing with it to try to get the perfect formula. But I think it would be fun to kind of see some new formats and kind of let pitchers get into it. But I'm sure, you know, the injury problem, their managers probably would not like them, or the owners, you know, GMs would probably not want to see that happen. But it would be a lot of fun to see something like that. You know.
But if they're there anyway, why not?
Talking about the Midsummer Classic, you know, it's that, and being an Olympic year, we got a lot of interesting stuff coming up. You know, U.S. Olympic trials is going to be a big deal. You know, and that is we do have a Central Coast connection. This is Stephanie Brown-Trafton, her 4th Olympic trials coming up. It'll be interesting to see if she can make the Olympics again. 2008 gold medalist in the discus, so that's going to be really interesting. Wednesday night of this week, Orchid native Josh Prino is trying to make an Olympic team. He's one of the top breaststrokers in the world. So he's swimming in the 200-meter semifinals and prelims Wednesday night, and then the finals or later this week. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. Jordan Hassey is going to be running at the trials. I think she's in the 10K. Dwayne Solomon's going to be running in the 800. So we definitely have some local guys competing for Olympic spots. So that's going to be really interesting to kind of keep an eye on.
Cammie Craig has already made the water polo team, San Ynez, from San Ynez. She's a defending gold medalist in the women's water polo. So there's 2 gold medalists right there. Stephanie Brown-Trafton has got hers. Let's see if she can make the team. She's still coaching up at Sacramento State, so she's still around. And she hasn't run away or anything, but
it's going to be very interesting. Hopefully they all make it,
sure.
But whoever does make it, it's going to be very interesting to talk to them afterwards about the experience in Rio, which is being talked about so much as being potentially a disaster. It'd be kind of talk about kind of a bummer potentially if you make the Olympics and there's talk about maybe this Olympics not even happening if things keep on getting worse.
The mayor of the city says they're in fine shape financially and everything's going to be done, although I don't see how that subway is ever going to make it. The governor of the state that they're in says they're broke and there's going to be trouble providing security. And simple things like toilet paper, they're saying they may not be able to have. I mean, it's basics, things that you wouldn't think that.
No, they're being told to pack a lot and bring it on their own.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I would just take a tent, you know, because. But yeah, I mean, Brazil's got some rough times going right now, and you know, with the Zika virus and all of that, what that poses, there is more. Think about it, the last 2 Olympics, if you count Brazil, you know, Sochi had all this controversy around it going on outside of the Olympic Games, and then it's like Brazil and all of this stuff going on here. The Olympics are kind of becoming a magnet for not the storylines you would want to see.
Yeah.
Well, you thought when Rio got it, it would be picturesque, beautiful, exotic, and now they're talking about the ocean outside the city is a cesspool. They haven't really bothered to clean it up, and the infrastructure may not be finished in time. They built these apartments in the Olympic Village that they were going to sell afterwards, and nobody's buying them. They're in a big recession down there, so that they've got lots of problems that right now are overshadowing a lot of the games. But we've seen in the past, and this is, you know, I'm not ready to give up on them yet, because we've seen in the past they talked about a city not being ready in time, and they've always made it so far. But this one's a little bit more iffy.
Yeah. I think today I saw the big news was that a mutilated body washed ashore on the beach that they are using for the beach volleyball section of the games. That kind of like just exemplifies the problem right there. You know, it's mixing the Olympics facilities, and then you see the crime and the bad part of Rio just kind of come together, and it's like a real. I don't know if I would go. Kenny doing a story on Carlos Balderas, a Santa Maria native who's on the Olympic team for boxing, and he was honest saying that he's kind of worried about the Zika virus and all that stuff, and I would be too. And you kind of see that with the national basketball team. You know, they probably have like the third tier level guys. You know, the biggest superstar might be Kevin Durant and Paul George on that team. You're not seeing LeBron or, you know, Steph Curry's not making it. You know, there's injuries there, but I think a lot of them are like, you know, I don't need to go out to Rio for a gold medal, you know, and kind of deal with all the stuff that's going on over there.
Same with the golfers. A lot of them just saying, I'd rather not go, and they don't have to, so they're...
Well, imagine, yeah, if the problem is mosquitoes and you're a golfer, yeah.
That's right. You're out there 4 hours or more each day, 4 rounds, plus practice rounds before you even play the tournament. 7,000 yards of walking or somewhere in that vicinity. And of course they make these things lush and green and trees and shrubs, and it's a great places. Water,
So
great
yeah,
places
so
for mosquitoes.
and so after saying all this, it's like, and we hope all of the local people make it. You know?
Yeah, we want them to make the team.
Yeah, we
like
do. I genuinely want them to make the team because, and the individual stories of athletes at Olympics are always the reason I keep coming back to watch, even when so much of the other stuff about the Olympics keeps falling apart. Tim Brokaw said recently in an interview that, well, if there's anything not finished, we'll just not show it on camera.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of editing going on this summer.
Things go on, but there's other things going on too. You know, this was a sad week in a way. Pat Summitt died, 64 years old from Alzheimer's, basically. And it's sad. I mean, she's younger than me. I hate to admit it, but she was younger than me, and she was a legend. She took the women's college basketball game from a nice little game that nobody really watched very much to national prominence. And yeah, UConn and Gino Auriemma have given it a certain glamour over the last few years, but really she established the women's game to where it is today. There was a time, and you may not remember this, but when I was in high school, girls basketball was played as a modified half-court game. It was a full-court game. 2 players could not cross the half-court line. 2 of them were offenders, 2 of them were defenders, and the 5th one could go back and forth like a point guard. So when you got the ball inbounds, you had 2 players that would stay back behind the line, and the 3rd one would bring the ball up, and they'd play 3-on-3. And then when the basket was or was not made, the rebound or take it out of bounds, they would do the same thing. Then the one point guard would bring it back up, the other point guard would go with her, and the 2 people would stay back, and the 2 offensive people would get the ball and they'd work it around. That was the way that girls' game was played. People were skeptical about playing it on a full court the way the boys did. Well, you got to be my age to remember when girls' basketball was played that way. Well, then it was the little schools in the NAIA, Old Dominion, for instance, won a couple basketball championships that nobody remembers anymore. But someone at the NCAA decided that, you know, this could be a popular sport, and the NCAA picked it up. The NAIA version of it just pretty much died away, except for the real small colleges, and it started to become more mainstream. And then when Pat Summitt came along, she took it from a nice college sport that might or might not get a few girls scholarship to a powerhouse sport where there are lots of young women who can have this, thousands now pay their way through college and get valid educations, college degrees, and many more of them stay the full 4 years and graduate. So when she stepped down, it was a sad day for women's college basketball and sports in general, but then she passed away this week. To me, so young at 64 is really a tragedy.
Yeah, I think she was just a great coach in general. Some people say she's, you know, one of the greatest women's coaches of all time, but she, you know, is just a great coach. I think that's all you need to say about her. Is, you know, not even just women's sports, but just, you know, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
I agree with that. That's the way to think about it.
Buddy Ryan passed away. He was in his 80s, but he was a character, especially with the Chicago Bears and their, what was it, the 46 defense that they had? Mm-hmm. And they just beat everybody. Wasn't that the team that humiliated the Patriots in the Super Bowl? Well, that was my favorite day, but nevertheless, he was a great defensive coach. He was one of those guys that when he went on to be a head coach, he wasn't that good, but as a defensive coach, there were none better. And it was a sad day that he died right after Pat Summitt. So we lost a couple legendary sports figures this week, and we figured we should acknowledge the fact that we too mourn their passing and understand that they were greats in their sports and in the sports world.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on everything from Pat Summitt, Buddy Ryan, and the Olympic trials, and we will be sure to bring you all that coverage on the Olympic trials in the coming weeks. So make sure to check that out on SantaMariaTimes.com and in print 6 days a week. So we're excited to bring you that coverage and Babe Ruth and Little League coverage as well. Thank you guys for tuning in.
We have some of those Olympic previews coming right up too. It's not like we're waiting. We've been covering Josh Pernot and his attempts to make the Olympic swim team, so you can see that right away in the Santa Maria Times, online and in print. And the others that we talked about, Jordan Hassan, Hasse, Stephanie Brown-Traft, and Dwayne Solomon, be looking for them online and in the Times. And of course, we want you back here next week to watch us again and join us for our next edition of 805 Sports Talk. So until then, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week.